Welcome to Hold My Beer. My name's Scott. Today we're going to be building a cheesy Christmas decoration with LEDs. The LEDs were programmed with our Arduino board, so we got to learn how to do a little programming, general wiring, general woodworking, a fun little project, and a cheesy little Christmas result. I think this bad boy is going to go on my desk. If you want to try to build one, stick around, we'll get into it. Okay, so I got this scrap of, I guess it's, well, I don't know, some kind of pine. But it's maybe, not even 3/4, maybe a 1/2 inch thick, 3/4 wide. I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to build the frame for the tree. And I think we're going to use just some 1/4 inch plywood put on top. But let me figure out the angles and I'll feed them to you guys. Okay, so I cut the bottom at 15 degrees, brought it in to about the height I wanted. I put a second piece on top just so I can make sure they're flush. And I'm going to mark this so we can make our cut. All right, I'm going to eyeball this. What the heck, right? I don't see how that's any of your business.
Yes or no?
What do you want?
Mimosa. You're supposed to refill them for me all day.
She's making that up, guys. Okay, I'm back from not filling up the House Commander's mimosa. Try this again. All right. Set her up here. Okay, let's mark our next cut. Okay, let's glue this up. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I guess we'll figure it out together. It's going to be a really good time to start fast forward. And I'm also adding a trunk here because the wires are going to have to come through and put our battery in there, our Arduino in there, and probably some extra wiring. So they'll just give us a little bit of space. We can modify it later, but once this is dried up, we can. All right, that looks decent. How many LEDs we're gonna put in here? I'm gonna go start messing around with the Arduino and learn how to program that sucker. Alright guys, see you in a bit. I made a cardboard cutout of the tree to try to get some kind of idea how many LEDs I'm gonna use. I think I'm gonna go with 8 rows and try to put one little yellow guy on top, mimic a star. I was playing with my Arduino, and I've got 8 LEDs blinking once I remove the resistor. So I think now I'm just going to create a little setup and I'll start writing the program. I rigged this little guy up because I don't have a breadboard. Only 2 of the pins are powered right now on the Arduino, but I'm going to try to program it and it should hopefully give us some visual representation of what it'll look like on the tree. I'll get back with you when I get something decent. Okay, so, sorry about that. I think I got my lights programmed. The yellow one is going to be the candle, if you will, at the top of the tree, and the other ones are going to be just kind of similar to the rows that are going to be in the tree. But I think I'm going to leave the Arduino program like this and go on to the next step. Alright, let's pull this guy apart. So we got it bases our tree. Let's cut the sides off real quick. Just gonna use my, one side. All right, there's our tree. Will it stand up? Hey, it does. All right, cool. So I'm gonna use some scrap 1/4 inch plywood to cover the outside of my tree here with, and to glue the LEDs in. Trim it out with our jigsaw. Outside. And I'll probably cut it later. Gonna use my circular saw for some of the bigger pieces. Make sure you don't cut into anything, like I always do. That's going to be a fire pile. I'm going to get the last little bit with the jigsaw because circular saw is a little bit much for this. I think that'll work. We'll have to trim to fit a little bit, but that'll be all right. I might glue it on now because. All right, well, I made the executive decision. I'm gonna go ahead and glue it on, sand it flush, and then I guess we'll start punching in holes for the LEDs. And this guy on top. And we're gonna walk away for a while. All right, see what we got. Looks a little wet still. I'm probably gonna leave it alone. Maybe I'll do a little trim in. Okay, so we got it roughed out. I'm gonna pull the back off. I'll set it to the side for now. I'm gonna have to do a little tweaking of the screws. We need to lay out where we want our LEDs and drill them. And I don't know how that was. I want to put this little light on top. So I think I'm gonna cut it flush. But let me see how far down we need to cut it. So I'm gonna get rid of the lock nut and just glue it in, but so it's about 0.30, so I'm gonna have to cut the top off so it'll sit in there flat. I'll go get something to mark it with and we'll do that. All right, so I made my mark. I'm gonna give myself a tiny bit more. I'm kind of eyeballing here too. So I think that's gonna look cool. So we need to drill a hole in there, drill a hole for our wires, and then we'll lay out our LEDs. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is pilot a hole. Try to center this thing up. All right, now we need 0.30 hole. Okay, I got a 5/16. But I've got a very bad feeling about this. Everybody cross your fingers. Hopefully we can work with this. Okay. So that's gonna be the idea, right? It kind of gives it an industrial look. I think it looks cool. So that's that. Let's do 5/16 hole here too, since we've already got it out, so the wires can get through. Let's do 2 actually. That sucks, huh? So I was thinking about doing one run for positive, one run for negative wires. We'll still figure it out, but let's glue that guy back on and we'll press on. Okay, so we got our top hole drilled. That's going to be pin 1 on the Arduino, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are going to be A through G. So you just want to set it up. I'm going to have 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lay it out how you want, add them how you want. If you want to do it like mine, if you want to use the program that I did, you're going to have to use 8 pins. And one being the one that it appears to be constantly illuminated. But I'm going to lay mine out and take a look. You can see if you like it, you can do the same way. Okay, so I laid out my whole pattern. I'm going to pilot them, and then we'll go with the final size. So that's the thickness of the LED. God, I hope you can see this. There's a little lip on the LED on the bottom. We're going to hopefully use that to stop it when we glue it in. So we just need a hole big enough, right? So that should be close. Let's give it a try. Yeah, it fits in there pretty tight, so I think we'll be okay. So I'm going to drill all these up, and then we'll clean it up, rattle can it, so we don't have to worry about it later on the front, and go from there. So I'm going to take a countersink and just try to clean up the holes a little bit. Alright, so it's very green. I'm going to put it inside and let it dry. It's winter, obviously it's winter, but maybe work on the base for a while. Then we'll start working on electronics, see if we can make sure it works before we get too crazy. Okay, so we need a base at the bottom of the tree to hide batteries / electronics / the Arduino. We don't need a ton of room, but we need enough. So I'm thinking 4 inches will probably be good. And I'm gonna go 6 square because the trunk's 3. So if you're gonna double it and do a 6-inch square, and that should give us enough room. So I'm gonna go what, 8, 16. We'll go 18 to give ourselves a little playroom room, and then we'll rip this thing. Okay, so we know we want to be 6 inches square, so we're going to take our first piece, and we'll cut it, rip it to 6 inches. Alright, so here's our first two pieces. In order to keep it square, we're going to have to knock the width of those off, because they're going to butt up. Quick and dirty way to do it. And then we'll cut this guy. Alright, so here's our mark. Pretty close. We need 2 more pieces of the same height. Alright, I'm willing to bet you know what's coming next. We're going to glue this guy up. Getting green paint on everything. Alright, so how close did we get? Is the question, right? Just under 6. Just about 6. So we're close. Let's think about the top now. Alright, so I think I'm going to go with a little bit of an overhang. Alright, so we're going to cut it that way. Cut it this way. Alright, so I cut it out. It's going to have a little overhang all over its sides, but I want to run through the planer, and I'm probably going to run it through the router, so I'm going to have to leave the top off for now, but we can glue it on later pretty quickly. Let's go check and see if the tree's dry. Alright, I guarantee I didn't leave this long enough to dry. Alright, I'm just gonna try to clean up the sides quick. Excuse me. I'm gonna try to clean up the sides quick and dirty like. Alright, so I'm gonna try to do some decorative routing. I set my router bit up, or I set my backstop up an inch away. That's where I'm gonna go do my first pass, and I'll do it on all sides. See if we can get rid of some of the jacked up stuff that I did earlier. There's our first pass. Try it again, maybe set it back another inch. Maybe one more down the middle. So in theory, if we are truly 6 inches, which we're never truly 6 inches, but I'm kind of close, if we go 3, it should drop it down the middle. Alright, there we go, some decorative routing. Alright, now I'm going to start working on the lid. I don't know what the hell the lid is. The lid. I'm going to try to undercut it and see what it looks like. And we'll go from there. Alright, so we got the top and the sides routed. I'm debating if I want to put it this way or this way. It looks kind of cool both ways, but I'm going to rough sand and then I'll glue the top on. Alright, let's glue the top on. Definitely want to get that glue off. That's going to be tough to get later. I'm just going to let it dry back down though. Maybe, maybe not. Alright, that's that. Alright, so all of our LEDs are in. I've got the top leads of the LED going to the top of the tree to keep it easy. So nothing special here, just give it a little dab of glue to hold it in. Alright, so I glued all the ones into the tree. Let's put the top one in and then we'll let this dry for a minute or two before we go any further. So the Arduino's programmed already. I found this battery from an older project. It's 6 cells, but it's, I don't know, it's pretty rough, but it works. But I don't know if it's gonna have power to drive all the lights that we got on there. I guess we'll find out. I don't know. Alright. I'm using 18 gauge wire because it's what I have. I was thinking about all the positives down one side and all the negatives down another side. And we need to know what we're wiring when we get down to the bottom. So I know that our top LED is going to be, it's going to go to pin 1 and so forth as we go down. But we just want to make sure we have it labeled when we get it down to the bottom so we know. So I'm going to start wiring and then we'll kind of show you what I'm doing and then we'll give it the old check. Alright, so the soldering iron's heating up. We're going to make our first connection. This is for the top yellow light. I should have some flux. I'm soldering them together because they're never coming apart. Hopefully. See if we can't keep the mess inside our tree. So you can see we got nice flow. It's not coming apart. Just so we don't have a little surprise later. We don't want anything to shorten out, so I'm going to put a little shrink on there to cover it up. Better be safe than sorry. We'll heat shrink it. And we're going to mark this as pin 1. Pin 1 on the Arduino. Bring it through our hole down here. Pin 1. Alright, I'm going to repeat this process a bunch of times. When I get to where you can see easier, I'll try to do some LEDs so you can see that too. So I just spliced the negative wire onto the top LED. Negative we don't care about. All the negatives are going to go to the same negative port of the Arduino. So that's not an issue right now. So we'll just throw them to the side and forget about them. Alright, this is probably going to be impossible to see because it's way up in this corner. This is the top LED though. But I'm going to tin my wire. Some solder on your iron. Alright, now this is, well, these upper ones are kind of tough, right? And we want to keep it short so we can get the lid on. Need more light. No bueno. Alright, so we got it that time, so we're going to do the same thing, right? We're just going to rough it down through our hole. And this is pin 2 on the Arduino, but it's A from our program. So if you use mine, don't worry about it. I'm just going to put both on there to keep it simple, well, simple, to keep my habit wrapped around it. So 2 and A. Alright, so now we cut that short. These guys are just the top ones up in the corner. And we'll do the same. So I changed my mind. Rather than running a ground wire for every one, I'm going to make one ground wire. And I'm just going to work it down as we go. The positive has to stay the same because that's where we're going to feed it and that's what will make the lights dance. But ground's ground, who cares? So I'm going to shrink this and we'll keep going. Still plugging away here. I think that the single ground wire is definitely the way to go. It makes life a little bit easier. I just ended up stripping them, the positives and the negatives, all the way across, just because it makes life easier and soldering them in, and then trimming off the extra. I'll give you a better idea when this is all done, what we're looking like. But it's coming together. As you see, we plug this guy in. Alright, so all the LEDs are wired. I definitely think one ground wire coming on the side, well, if it works, is the ideal way to go. I got all the signal wires, if you will, or the power wires. And you can see now why we wanted to label everything, because look at the anaconda we got. Well, anaconda might be a little loose. So, I guess now we need to plug it in the Arduino and see if it works. Okay guys, I'm going to glue the tree onto the base. I want to find the center. It's pretty decent, and I want to mark in here so we know where to drill our holes. So we'll put 2 more 5/16 holes down in so we can bring our wires to the base. All right, let's punch our holes in. All right, let's try that again. I got my ghetto clamp tape. New bottle of glue. I've been messing around with the lights. I think I got the Arduino program as good as, I don't know, what are you going to do, right? It's just lights flashing. But so I got the Arduino plug-in right now, just a 12-volt power supply. I'm debating whether I want to just plug it into the wall or make it battery powered. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and screw on the back. And then we'll, I think I'm going to have to clean it up a little bit more, even though I didn't want to. And then we'll do the thing. Just give you kind of how I wired it. You see the one ground wire going down the right side and all the power signal, whatever you want to call it, wires going to the left. And they come through the hole and drop to the base. I'll get the back screwed on and cleaned up, and I'll give you a little bit of painting. You don't really. Spray in the trunk. Alright, so I just steamed the base. So we have our connectors built up, right? We just plug them right back into where we had them before. One through 8, ground. Take our battery, or 12-volt power supply, or whatever you're using. Plug it in, and there goes the lights. It's cheesy, but it's cool. So at this point, I guess if you wanted to keep it for like all year, you'd glue it in. I'm not going to glue it in because I'm going to use the Arduino still and the battery still, but I'm going to shove it in there for now. That's usually when it turns off. But yeah, that's the shooting match. Kind of cool, I guess.